सब लोगों को प्रणाम नमस्कार. Very good morning to all of you here. On the dais we have Dr. Davish Jain, President of CEGR, and a great educationist. And just now he was showing his books which he has written, which are themselves a role model. In fact, the life of a particular individual can also become sometimes a role model for others to follow suit. We have the past presidency, Kamar Shekhar, आप भी कुछ कम नहीं हैं, तो ये भी पहले प्रेसिडेंट रह चुके हैं. और often I see that educationists who are passionate will bring transformation in education. That's what is visible. We also have Sandeep Marwa. He is also another great person who has been associated with several initiatives, but Sector Skill Council, one of the very important things in ABGC sector. My friend, Mohit Soni has just gone out probably, but he will come back. He is also associated with Sector Skill Council, which is very, very important today in the world of today. Anupam Choksi, Sachin Gupta, all of them have been driving passionately. And my friend, Dr. Sitaram, who was my co-student in Indian Institute of Science, Bangalore. And when I left IIT, he much later became director also of that institute. He is just now gone out for another function which is going to be held in IIT Delhi. And most importantly, the young dynamic Ravish Roshan, ये जो सिनेमा में है ना वैसे ही है, ये हीरो जैसा है और हमेशा हमको छोड़ता नहीं है. तो बोला आपको आना ही पड़ेगा सर. तो उसका फ़ोन आएगा तो हम बिल्कुल मना नहीं कर सकते हैं. तो इसलिए हम जितना भी काम हो मौजूद हो जाते हैं. और हमारे बीच यहाँ अनेक वाइस चांसलर्स हैं, कुछ पास्ट भी हो सकते हैं, फ्यूचर भी कुछ लोग दिख रहे हैं मुझे. और इस सभागार में आपके साथ यहाँ इस CEGR के 3rd समिट ऑन एजुकेशनल अलायंस में आने के लिए बहुत बहुत खुशी हो रही है. और बाहर में जब हम स्टॉल देख रहे थे तो करीब 65 स्टॉल्स जिसमें academic institutions, startup companies, they are all here. And I think this is a real big beginning of formation of alliances. And both Ravish also told, Dr. Sitaram also told, as well as the President, Dr. Danesh ji also told about very important part, which is having collaborations amongst ourselves within our country. We all talk about collaboration with foreign universities. We are not against that. We should also do collaborations with foreign universities. But the kind of expenditure required, the wherewithal required is very, very high, and therefore many students cannot aspire to go out. It is very expensive. Whereas within the country, just now Sanskriti University and LNCT, so when they meet together, Bhopal and Mathura, they are close by, few hundred kilometers. And therefore, students can very easily move from one institute to the other institute. Even sometimes maybe weekend, 2 days also, Friday evening gaye, Monday morning wapas aaye. And they learn something in the process. So there are possibilities that galore. In terms of research, certainly faculty also can go meet each other. Industry can be invited in that institute. I think this program of signing of MOUs amongst Indian institutions is going to take a long way. And it is economical, it is going to be very efficient, and it is going to create economic benefits to the nation as well. So इसलिए ये बहुत महत्वपूर्ण कार्यक्रम जो CEGR ने उठाया है, तो उसको बहुत बहुत बधाइयाँ. सीताराम ने करीब सब कुछ बता दिया. मैंने उनको कहा था, मैं कुछ बोलने वाला था तो आपने सब कुछ बोल दिया. तो फिर मैं लेकिन उन्होंने बीच में 2 चीज़ों के लिए बताया कि ये डिटेल में वही बताएंगे. तो इसलिए मैं मौका उसी का उठाता हूँ. और I will talk about only these 2 issues which are going to be again grounds breaking and very innovative in nature. There are many facets which have been described in the national education policy. We talk about multidisciplinary education. We talk about multiple exit and again multiple entry. That means re-entry. हम स्पेस में बोलते हैं री-एंट्री व्हीकल. It goes and comes back, something similar to that. A candidate who has studied some years in an educational institution because of some difficulty at home, because of parents' income suddenly crashed or whatever, and transfers, many cases may be there. a student may go out, but must have an option to come back and complete the education. And that is what is provided for in the national education policy. But how do we implement it? Stating something is much easier. Implementing is much difficult. And it has to be a very robust mechanism. And therefore, one of them, the first one, which is of the unique ID for all individuals, all institutions, all startup companies, all learners and all teachers. That is what is very, very important. Like our Aadhaar. Aadhaar is a unique ID for all citizens of the country. Similarly, for all learners and teachers, there must be a unique ID to be created, and we called it as APAR. Automated Permanent Academic Account Registry, APAAR. And this name in our भारतीय भाषाओं में अपार यानी विस्तृत बहुत, इसमें कोई सीमा नहीं, बहुत अनेक पॉसिबिलिटीज़ होती है, तो ऐसा अपार नाम उसको दिया गया है. इसका मतलब है कि ये यूनिक होना चाहिए. And how can it become unique? In the country, we have only one unique ID, that is what is known as Aadhaar. But there are some restrictions on the direct use of Aadhaar unless benefit is given by the government to that individual. That's why all the direct beneficiary transfer, that scholarships, the subsidies given to farmers, they all can be accounted for through the mechanism of Aadhaar. That is permitted because Supreme Court said if you are paying money from the government, you have a right to do it. For all others, in the Privacy Act also, and the Supreme Court also talked about privacy issues, therefore you cannot left, right and center use it. But therefore, what we did is consented use is allowed. If I give a consent that my ID may be made use of for a certain set of purposes, and I sign on that and give it, then it is permitted to be used. So we did create this APAR ID, which was earlier called as ABC ID, Academic Bank of Credit ID. Many of the higher educational institutions, I'm sure their institutions are already part of the ABC, both as an institution as well as their students' records are already submitted over there. So the same thing is going to become a unique ID of the student where the record is going to be kept. It is exactly like the DigiLocker, where today we keep our passport, we keep our license, we keep our all documents safely, and they are authorized, they are validated, they are digitally signed, and therefore you don't have to carry your physical license when you are traveling. You can show your from the DigiLocker, and the police or cop will not catch you because it is yours. It is validated. And same way, all the credentials earned by the student, they must be recorded and there must be validity for that. And that is what is being done through the linking of this APAR ID with the Academic Bank of Credits. And also all the educational institutions, especially higher educational institutions who are here, school may be on the other side, they have an ID which is unique called UDICE ID. UDICE ID is for the schools, and for higher education, all of you have a AISHE ID. All India Survey for Higher Education, which is the Government of India's Ministry of Education department, which collects information annually. So if you have an institutional ID and you identify a unique person, maybe a controller of examination, maybe a dean, maybe a registrar, whatever designation you want to, that person will sign the digitally signed certificate of the student and put it in the respective account of the student. So there will be a mechanism developed where in one single shot, all 5,000 students of the university, their degrees, their credits can be pushed into the respective accounts of the students. And that is verified because it is digitally verified. The student need not carry physical hard copy of the certificate anywhere, but he can simply give the that APAR ID to any other organization who wants to see whether it is a valid ID, valid certificate, and get it. Through APIs, this exchange can take place. So this is what is one of those very fine things which has happened. So the building of the biodata of the student also happens. If student is doing some Microsoft certification course, and Microsoft certifies that because they are also a company who will be registered on this, then we say that this Microsoft certification is true. And therefore, a single source of truth, very, very economical for both students as well as institutions, is going to be created. It's almost already done. More than 1.25 crore students from the domain of higher education. About 1.1 crore students from the skill domain are already part of this system. We want to spread it to all 30 crore. And this is not just for students, but for all others also, because it's like a lifelong learning. We talk about skilling, upskilling, reskilling. All such people also can come on the platform and deposit their certificates. I know this is a unique way of doing it. I think this is number one, which he talked about. The second one he also mentioned was about another interesting thing about study in India. The National Education Policy has laid heavy emphasis on internationalization of education. Both our Indian universities going abroad and setting campuses. Very recently, last week, we were in Abu Dhabi, and an IIT Delhi campus is being established there. We saw the university where the building is coming up and some of the facilities which are temporarily being done. So Indian institutions were already going to Dubai and setting up campuses, some private universities, etc. Now government is also establishing universities abroad. Similarly, we want foreign students to come to India and study. They may be for short-term courses, maybe long-term courses, full program, one semester exchange, in different ways. But what is found by the government for all these years, based on the input or the feedback received from the foreign students, they have great difficulty in knowing which are the good institutions in the country, number one. And if they come to know also, like our students when they apply to US universities for masters and PhD, each university asks for a different form, and you have to pay a fee and then submit. I think about 8 to 10,000 rupees is spent by a candidate to send the transcript to each university, and a student cannot afford more than about 5-6, so they send to about only 5-6. If you are lucky, you get a good admit. You don't, then next year again. This is the process which is followed by Indian students. Same thing happens with the foreign students who want to come to India for studies. So we decided that this also is another problem. The third problem is when they come here, they are in a different cultural setting, the academic setting, there is a different type of food, different type of climate. So to acclimatize them, there is no mechanism in our country, in our universities, and therefore some kind of a compliance should also be existing in our institutions. And last but not the least, the most dangerous thing which was observed was many students who come, they are required to register in the FRRO office, Foreign Registration Office, within fortnight. And many of them who do not know that, they don't. And then after about 2-3 months, somewhere they are traveling and they are asked, where is your FRRO registration? He says, I have not done it because of lack of knowledge, not probably deliberately. But then they get into the legal problems, issues, etc. And therefore, we decided with the help of Ministry of Education, Ministry of External Affairs, Ministry of Home Affairs, who are all associated with this whole phenomena, to have a single stop solution, which we call single window system in finance, etc. We talk about. Similarly, ease of doing business and single stop solution. We created this portal called what is known as Study in India portal. What it does is it asks again registration by any foreign student want to come to India. Once they do that registration, they will see everything on that platform. All universities who wish to take students, their quality, their accreditation level, their ranking, their faculty, everything is available. And based on that, by keying in some keywords, for example, I want to study architecture, you write architecture. You want to study management, you write management. All good institutions of management or architecture will pop up, and the student can see those 10 or 15 of them and decide which 5-6 he wants to apply. And then he need not apply separately to all these institutions which the candidate has selected. He only tick marks block 1, 2, 3, 4, and then the biodata of the student with his all details about 10th grade, 12th grade certificate, if it is post-graduation, means his undergraduation study in his country, all of that gets pushed to those 5-6 institutions where student has shown interest. And now it is the institution head and the compliance officer who will be able to see the application form based on their own judgment, based on their own criteria, select the student, and then whoever is selected by the college or university, it will again appear on the dashboard of the student. So after about 15 days, he will know, I've got 3 admits, I've got 2 admits, I've got 5 admits. Then a student will decide which one of them to select. Once he selects that, the corresponding visa officer in his mother country, wherever the student belongs to, will come to know of that, and visa processing becomes easy. When student comes to India to actually take admission, the compliance officer will help him in getting the FRRO registration by not going to police thana, but being also inside the campus itself. So you see the ease of doing everything becomes so concrete and flawless. And if there is some missing link, immediately there will be a escalation by way of email or a mobile message, which will go to the candidate or the compliance officer. Thereby, no legal violation will take place, but at the same time, full facilitation will take place. And that is what has been achieved through the portal of study in India. Lastly, one which was not stated by him, but we are working on that, is Dr. Radhakrishnan committee has given already first recommendation. It was there in the website of the ministry and many other organizations. A lot of inputs have come about streamlining the entire process of our approval, accreditation and ranking. And all of you who are academicians, especially heads of the institutions, are aware that you keep giving the same data, करीब same data. 80 to 90% सेम डेटा होता है, लेकिन अलग अलग लोग अलग अलग समय पे मांगते हैं, और आप लोग भी अलग अलग लोगों को अपने इंस्टीट्यूट में ये काम दे देते हैं, और उनको कैसे समझ में आया उस ढंग से वो फिल करते हैं, और बाद में दो अलग अलग जगह में जो डेटा है वो मैच नहीं होता है, तो एक संशय होता है मन में कि ये सही है कि ये सही है, कि इन्होंने चीटिंग तो नहीं किया है ना, लेकिन वो बिना समझ के ऐसा करने की वजह से होता है. तो वी आर डिसाइडिंग टू हैव one nation, one data portal where the institution is required to give data only once in a year. आप एक चूज़ कीजिए, उस टाइम में एडिटिंग फैसिलिटी रहेगी, लेकिन आप जो चाहिए एक अच्छे 2-3 व्यक्तियों को इकट्ठा करने के लिए बताइए अपने कॉलेज में, यूनिवर्सिटी में, और उसको कंपाइल करके डबल चेक कीजिए सही है ना. उसके बाद उसको अपलोड एक बार कर दिया तो AICTE को चाहिए तो AICTE उसमें से API के थ्रू जो चाहिए वो ले लेगी. आपने जो भरा है उसमें से सब उनको नहीं चाहिए, शायद उनको 70% चाहिए, वो ले लेंगे. एक्रेडिटेशन NBA को उसमें से शायद 80% चाहिए, वो कुछ कॉमन है AICTE के साथ, कुछ अनकॉमन भी होगा या कुछ कंप्लीटली नया भी होगा, तो वो सब वो लोग ले लेंगे. सिमिलरली NAAC ले सकता है, सिमिलरली रैंकिंग के लिए, सिमिलरली आईशे के लिए. सो आपको एक बार डेटा देंगे तो उसको एक जगह से सब लोगों को मिलने की सुविधा निर्माण करना, ये उसका उद्देश्य है. अगले 5-6 महीने में ये हो जाएगा तो अगले साल से आपको तकलीफ कम होगी. So this is another great digital initiative which has been undertaken in the process. This is very, very again important for all of you to know. इसमें एक इंटरेस्टिंग फीचर बाद में ऐड होने वाली है, मैं अभी से ही बता रहा हूँ, क्योंकि कुछ लोग कई बार बढ़ा चढ़ा कर बोलते हैं, है ना, बोलते हैं, आप भी बोलते होंगे, हम भी बोलते हैं कई बार अलग अलग चीज़ों के बारे में. तो हमने इतना रिसर्च पब्लिकेशन कर दिया, ऐसे बता देंगे तो वो इन्फ्लिपनेट के थ्रू तो वैलिडेशन होता है, लेकिन बाकी हमने 40 वर्कशॉप अरेंज किए थे. वी हैव डन 40 एक्सचेंज प्रोग्राम बिटवीन आवर यूनिवर्सिटी एंड सम अदर यूनिवर्सिटी. इसको वैलिडेशन करना बहुत आसान नहीं है, मुश्किल होता है. देन इफ़ यू आर आस्क्ड टू गिव लॉट ऑफ प्रूफ, देन वॉल्यूमिनस 1000 पेज वाला आप PDF फाइल अपलोड करेंगे, उसको कौन देखेगा, कितना टमे है, किसी को चल जाएगा, किसी का पकड़ा जाएगा, ऐसे भी होता है. तो इसलिए इसमें हम पीयर सोर्स बेस्ड वैलिडेशन सिस्टम डेवलप करने वाले हैं. दिस इज अ वेरी इंटरेस्टिंग वन. वी ऑल हैव हर्ड अबाउट क्राउड सोर्सिंग. तो क्राउड सोर्सिंग के माध्यम से क्या होता है, आपका जो डेटा दिया है वो सही है कि नहीं, आप क्राउड से पूछ रहे हैं, जनरल पब्लिक से. जनरल पब्लिक को तो ये पता नहीं होता है, और आप मैनिपुलेट भी करके अपने 1000 लोगों को ये अच्छा है, सही है करके बोलने के लिए भी कर सकते हो. तो हम एक लिस्ट ऑफ डेटाबेस ऑफ एकेडमिशियंस, इंडस्ट्री लीडर्स लेके इस इंस्टीट्यूट ने ये क्लेम किया है. डू यू फील दैट इट इज़ ऑल करेक्ट, या इसमें कौन सा सही नहीं है बताइए. ऐसे हम 100 लोगों को भेज देंगे हर इंस्टीट्यूट के बारे में, समझ लीजिए. फिर वो 100 लोगों में से 20 लोग बोलेंगे हमको इसके बारे में कुछ जानकारी नहीं, ठीक है. 80 लोग बोलेंगे कि हमको जानकारी है, 40 लोग बोलेंगे एकदम सही बताया है, अच्छा है, और 40 लोग बोलेंगे ये बहुत चढ़ा बढ़ा कर लिखा है, ऐसे भी बोलेंगे. तो अभी हम बाद में थोड़ा इन्वेस्टिगेशन करेंगे, पता चलेगा कि कौन सा एग्जैक्ट वैल्यू है और किसने अपना करेक्ट वैल्यू दिया था. तो उसका रेटिंग बढ़ते जाएगा। यानी ये क्रेडिबिलिटी स्कोर ऑफ द इंस्टीट्यूट, क्रेडिबिलिटी स्कोर ऑफ द इंडिविजुअल्स विल गो अप एंड डाउन ओवर ए पीरियड ऑफ टाइम। यानी जो सही इनपुट देने वाला आदमी है उसका शुरुआत में शायद हो सकता है रेटिंग ऑन ए स्केल ऑफ 1.4 या 0.5 है, तो सही ढंग से सब के बारे में वो अपना ओपिनियन दे रहा है तो वो बढ़ते हुए 0.6 0.7 बनते जाएगा। और जो गलत गलत बोल रहा है, मे बी बिकॉज ऑफ वेस्टेड इंटरेस्ट, बिकॉज ऑफ सम एनिमिटी, तो उसका स्कोर नीचे नीचे जाके बाहर कर देंगे उसको, यानी इसको रिलायबल नहीं है। तो रिलायबिलिटी स्कोर ऑफ इंडिविजुअल्स एज वेल एज इंस्टीट्यूशन, इंस्टीट्यूशन भी जो दे रहा है सही दे रहा है कि नहीं, तो जो रिलायबल इंस्टीट्यूट बन जाएगा, क्रेडिबल इंस्टीट्यूट बन जाएगा, वो जो भी बोलेंगे फिर आंख बंद करके हम उसको एक्सेप्ट कर सकते हैं। ऐसा एक सिस्टम धीरे धीरे वो भी डेवलप होगा, तो गलत इन्फॉर्मेशन देने का भी कम होगा, एक ही बार इन्फॉर्मेशन देने का भी सिस्टम रहेगा, सब लोगों की जो कठिनाइयाँ हैं वो कम करने का भी इसमें से एक स्वभाव अपने आप आ जाएगा। तो फिर आप रैंकिंग के लिए हो, बेस्ट टीचर के लिए हो, स्टूडेंट क्या क्या कर रहे हैं उसके बारे में हो। देखिए आज पूरा वी कॉल डेटा एज द गोल्ड, और ऑयल, न्यू ऑयल ऐसा है। तो इसलिए डेटा के माध्यम से जो हम राष्ट्रीय स्तर पर कैसे अच्छा चीज़ कर सकते हैं, इस सब में इसमें आ रहा है। लास्टली वी आर हैविंग ए भाषा समिट दिस 30th and 1st October. I don't know how many of you have received information, because UGC, AICT have all sent to the heads of the institution, and this is a very interesting event which is going to take place in Ambedkar International Center here in Delhi in Janpath, which is going to be a long-term 175-day program which is going to be launched by the Honorable Minister of Education Sri Dharmendra Pradhan about भाषा एक मूवमेंट। अनेक हमारे देश में डाइवर्सिटी है, अनेक भाषा है, सब भाषाओं को इक्वल अपॉर्चुनिटी है, इक्वल इम्पोर्टेंस है, और वो मैसेज उसमें से देंगे। और टेक्नोलॉजी टू बी डेवलप्ड फॉर भारतीय भाषा, टेक्नोलॉजी इन भारतीय भाषा, टेक्नोलॉजी थ्रू भारतीय भाषा, इसमें इसको शॉर्ट में हम कभी कभी फिट कॉन्फ्रेंस बोल रहे हैं, टेक्नोलॉजी फॉर, टेक्नोलॉजी इन, टेक्नोलॉजी थ्रू भारतीय लैंग्वेजेस। सो इट मीन्स लॉट ऑफ opportunities for all of you, developing operating systems in Indian languages. You may have content to be developed in Indian languages, LMS system to be developed in Indian languages, testing of students in Indian languages. Because आज भी हमारा हायर एजुकेशन 27% GR है, तो 73% आज भी बाहर नहीं आ रहे हो। तो उसमें से बहुत सारे लोग तो अपने अपने भाषा में, हिंदी में, कन्नड़ में, तमिल में, तेलुगु में, मराठी में, बंगाली में सीख के अपना एजुकेशन छोड़ दे रहे हैं। तो उनको कैसे वापस लाएंगे, फिर एक बार शिक्षा में, स्किलिंग में, वो सब लोगों को आगे बढ़ाने के लिए कैसे कर सकते हैं, इसके लिए ये भी एक कार्यक्रम होने जा रहा है, उसमें भी आप सम्मिलित हुए। ऐसे कहते हुए मैं मेरे 4 शब्द समाप्त करता हूँ। नमस्कार, धन्यवाद।